I stand ready, and I mean it sincerely and personally, I say this to my friend from South Carolina, to gather together for another gang of 8 or 10 or 4, whatever the number may be, to put together a comprehensive immigration reform bill. I think we both know what the likelihood of that passing in the other body is, but that shouldn't deter us from doing our duty. I'm ready to do it again. Is the publication of books an important part?
Mr. Chairman?
I'll be with you in just a second. Is the publication of books an important part of our jurisdiction? The Constitution is our jurisdiction, and the Constitution raises questions that I think will be addressed today in this hearing. Senator Cornyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to point out that we haven't had a markup of an immigration bill in this committee, which is the committee of jurisdiction, since the current chairman has been chairman. And even when our Democratic colleagues were in charge of both the House, the Senate, and the White House, we haven't considered any immigration bills. I think Senator Tillis joined me in a letter to you as chairman asking that we make some attempt to try to craft something that might generate bipartisan support. About 2 years ago, Senator Sinema, the senator from Arizona, and I, and also Tony Gonzalez, who represents the largest border district in the country, and Henry Cuellar, a Democrat, introduced a bipartisan, bicameral Border Solutions Act, I think we called it. And my thought was that at some point, things would get so bad that President Biden, or perhaps even our Democratic colleagues, might be prompted to actually do something instead of just talk about it. And I guess I was wrong. In the meantime, as Senator Graham points out, there have been literally millions, I think 7 million people coming across the border since President Biden was president. There have been 108,000 Americans died of drug overdoses last year alone, and we know that the fentanyl, which is taking many of our children's lives in our schools, that 71,000 of those 800,000 were synthetic opioids. We know where it comes from. We know where the precursors come from. We know where the drugs are manufactured and pressed into pills that kids take and die. And then, of course, there's the 300,000 children who've been placed with sponsors, unaccompanied children, and the Biden administration can't tell you where they are. They can't tell you whether they're going to school, whether they're getting health care. They can't tell you whether they're being trafficked for sex or forced into involuntary labor. They just can't tell you, and frankly, they don't care. Because if they did, they would want to do something about it. So I will volunteer to work with you or anybody, but it's got to be more than just talk. It's got to be action. Nobody else can do this job. We are the ones who have to do the job if it's going to get done, and so far I don't see much in the way of action.
I would just say in response that the bill we worked on with the Gang of 8, Senator McCain, Senator Graham, and others, was a good faith bipartisan effort, which I still think has validity to this day. And it took more than just a committee hearing to achieve. It took people of goodwill trying to work together and compromise. I'm sorry that you didn't support that bill, but I think it was a bill that we ought to return